In only 2 years, Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire has grown into one of the classic events on the British triathlon circuit. Staffordshire is the first of 7 Ironman events coming up in the UK and Ireland in 2017. 7 opportunities to get qualifying points for the World Championships in Kona. As Stafford is a 70.3 event, it means this year's series kicks off with a 1.2 mile swim. That's followed by a 56-mile bike ride around Cannock Chase. And then, of course, the half marathon to finish, 13.1 miles at the historic Shugborough Hall. The event attracts thousands of Ironman enthusiasts to compete and support on this spectacular course. Everyone enjoying and benefiting from the legendary Ironman atmosphere. The queen of 70.3 Staffordshire is undoubtedly Lucy Gossage. Never beaten on this course, she's back to race again, but she faces a bigger challenge than ever with the fast improving Kimberly Morrison, who's a brilliant bike rider, and Nikki Bartlett, who's now moved up to Scotland for her training. The professional men's start list features France's Romain Guillaume and Giulio Molinari of Italy, the double European champion. Harry Wiltshire's in again, brilliant swimmer. Fraser Cartmel from Scotland and Phil Graves, who's great on the bike.
There's a lot of good guys who could all sort of win, and there's about 15 guys who could all come top 3 if it went their way tomorrow.
The first wave of the day is the pro men at 7 o'clock in the morning, a strong field fighting it out to compete over the 1.9 kilometre swim course. Elliot Smales leading the way, Harry Wiltshire on his tail in the early stages. Smales always quick off the start, and he's first out of the water. Unusual for Wiltshire not to be first out, but he knows the importance of the transitions. He's quick in and he's quick out. Wiltshire, he's had plenty of bad luck this year. South Africa, Texas, Brazil, it's all gone wrong. He needs a good result here. Smales leading the chasing group, ahead of Guillaume, Fraser Cartmel, and then Giulio Molinari. But it's Guillaume who's the first to get the legs pumping. He moves into second.
So it's much more individual race, bike course, than any other race. And so that's why I choose to come here, because I'm better on the swim and bike than run. Yeah, I will give everything and on the bike.
Well, he's certainly backing that up with a good performance in the early stages. Goes flying past Harry Wiltshire to take the lead. Wiltshire will have known what was coming. No choice but to let the Frenchman go. The only man moving as quickly as Guillaume is Molinari of Italy. Molinari saying, I want to push hard on the swim and the bike. I want as big a lead as possible over the other pros coming into the run course. Exactly the same tactics as Guillaume of France. That will be an interesting battle between those two. Third place in the pro men. Here comes Phil Graves, and he's already moving up through the order. Great start from him.
I've been doing a lot of bike races, but I think my swimming and running are a long way sort of behind where I want them to be at the moment. So we'll just have to see. I've literally no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but I just want to get around, enjoy myself, and just have a good time.
4 hours of racing isn't most people's idea of fun, but these guys just can't get enough of it. And Phil Graves enjoying himself out there at the moment, reeling in the 2 leaders. In the women's, Morrison's had a good swim, but it's Hannah Druitt who's first out. 26.05 her swim time. That gives her about 1 minute 20 for each 100 metres, going really well. Kimberly Morrison, though, who's put in some astonishing bike ride times this season, already up into the lead.
Currently unbeaten on the bike this year. It all started in January when I cycled up to Daniela Reef and came 8th in the Ironman Dubai competition. I then went on and won Ironman 70.3 Texas and put in a really strong bike leg there and broke the course record.
Well, it's not long before Druitt is overtaken by Nikki Bartlett, the former rower, And Lucy Gossage, who's used to playing catch-up, is doing just that. She's passed through it into third.
Sadly, I'm a very bad swimmer, so I'm always chasing after the swim. I don't like it, but I'm used to it. I've never known anything different. I've won the last 2 years, so yeah, it'd be really nice to do it a third time, but it gets harder each year. I love racing in the UK. It's really nice coming back somewhere where you've had good races.
And Lucy Gossage going up ahead of Nikki Bartlett. Those two know each other well. They raced on this course last year. Gossage, of course, came out top on that occasion. Phil Graves still in third place, but he's closing down on the Italian and the Frenchman. And he's got them in his sights now, sitting at the back of three. Guillaume leading, Molinari in second. Guillaume a slight figure, but very good on the bike. But he'll know about Molinari's reputation, and he's going to let the Italian through. Now, this is an opportunity for Graves, who won't ease up. He's been travelling the fastest of the three leaders. And Phil Graves, who won his first Ironman event back in 2009, is into the lead, pumping those legs well. The run, as he's already said, could be a bit of an issue. And as the pros blast their way along the bike course, 1,800 other athletes coming into the transition area. Alex Dredge, one of them. Now, he had a motorbike accident back in 2012, 6 months to learn to walk again. His last operation in 2016. This is a massive sporting challenge for him.
Set off on my motorbike to go to work, and a van pulled out in front of me from a petrol station. I ended up somehow, which I still don't know, underneath the van. And I was there for a couple of hours until they lifted the van off me and got me out from underneath it. But in that moment of finding myself under the van, I thought that was it. I thought it was game over. But I snapped my left femur because I hadn't eaten that morning on the way before going to work. They operated the same day. The surgery is almost as bad as the accident itself. And then you've got to basically learn how to walk again.
Well, that would imply that the run is going to be the tricky section for Alex Dredge. He was actually a competitive swimmer prior to his accident, and a very good one at that. He's pretty much had to learn to bike ride since the accident, but it's the run where the body takes the pounding, and he'll know that as well as anyone else.
It's hard work. It's been all right, but I've got a bit of a pain in my lower back. But it's starting to loosen out a bit now, so hopefully on the run it'll be okay.
So a long way still to go. Remember, 56 miles on the bike and then 13.1 run to finish off. Well, the support has become one of the features of the Staffordshire 70.3, and the man taking the applause at the front is Philip Graves. He's got Molinari not far behind, 20 seconds or so the gap, and Guillaume hasn't dropped off the pace at all. He just didn't want to lead for too long. Kimberly Morrison leading the women's ahead of Lucy Gossage and Nikki Bartlett. Those three all going well. This is one event where the locals really get out and support, and that's part of the reason that Gossage has been back for each edition of this 70.3. And someone else who's come back for a third go is Matt Bainborough. Now, he's got his wife to thank for being here. She's made a pretty big sacrifice, putting the honeymoon back a full week so he could race.
The original plan was to get married on the 9th of June and then fly to Mexico on the 12th of June. Until we made the mistake of driving the bike course, and I got shivers down my spine. And I looked at her in the car and she looked back and said, well, let's see if you can get in tonight. If you can get in tonight, we'll move the honeymoon 1 week. So we fly to Mexico on Monday morning, the day after the race.
Well, he better make sure he finishes today. The heat might be the biggest obstacle, well over 30 degrees.
Feel really good. Legs are quite strong. Lungs are catching up. But after this first hill, I'll settle down, nice rhythm, and let's get to the transition two and have a good run.
As simple as that. It's all looking good at the moment. So after extending his lead on the bike, Phil Graves, the first to reach Shugborough Hall and rack his bike in T2. And at the start of the 13.1 mile run, an advantage of just 30 seconds over Gilman and Molinari. Graves is hardly built for running. Molinari certainly is. And Gilman at 62 kilos is no slouch. Graves is going to have to produce the race of his life to hold on. Kimberly Morrison leading the women. She needs every second's advantage she can get over Gossage and Bartlett. She was 5 minutes slower than Gossage on the run last year. Gossage still going well, back to work, but just as competitive. What a finale we're going to have here on the half marathon run at Shugborough. Welcome back to Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire, where Gilman the Frenchman is leaving the second transition in third place, having lost 15 seconds or so to Molinari, and Philip Graves of Great Britain leading the way after a brilliant bike ride, but less than a minute's lead over this man. That looks dangerous. Molinari, a brilliant runner and a very composed athlete indeed. He goes past Philip Graves in the first couple of kilometres, and the difference clear to see. This man now running for victory. His biggest threat, Romain Guillaume of France, who's some 15 seconds down. Graves has got to hang on in there. A podium would be a brilliant result from him. He's going to lose second place in the next few seconds to Guillaume of France. So a mental as well as a physical battle for Graves as he drops down the order. Guillaume now chasing Molinari, who's some 50 metres up the road. Kimberly Morrison still leading the women's, a minute ahead. She was 2 minutes 30 ahead of Gossage out of the water, so actually slower on the bike and through transition. Morrison has work to do. Gossage desperate to make this 3 out of 3. Now just watch her go. No one works as hard as Gossage when it comes to the run. The harder the run, the more she likes it. Nikki Bartlett, who's been improving under coach Rob Cheetham, and this is a massive test for her. 1 minute 13 down on the leader through T2. Molinari, the race leader, had no problem going past Graves. Now he's got to try and hold off Guillaume, who's working really hard. His maximum pulse at 185. I suspect he's not far off that mark right now. Guillaume has caught Molinari after the first of 3 laps, and now he's got a tactical decision to make.
Especially on Ironman race, but even half Ironman, I'm still learning that the race is not finished until the finish line. The best plan is, I think we have to learn to be patient. Yeah, not to give everything at the beginning.
Well, he certainly pushed hard on the first lap. We'll see how this one pans out. Molinari still looking very, very comfortable. Morrison, who led from early on in the bike section, having overtaken Druitt, back into second. Gossage has gone through and now leads the race. She set the course record of 4:31 back in 2015, and she's not far off that pace at the moment, running really well. Nikki Bartlett was still with Gossage going through T2. She's now gone past Kimberly Morrison as well, who's dropped from first to third in the space of a couple of minutes. And the action at the front of the men's just as intense. Here are 2 men who can certainly cope with the heat of the day. He says in Italy at the moment it's really tough to train, temperatures mid to high 30s, and so he thinks the conditions here in UK will suit him down to the ground. Well, he looks fantastic. He's got such good core strength. His running so efficient, leading Guillaume at the moment. Now, most of these athletes have no idea of racing Molinari. They're racing themselves, they're racing their mates, they're racing their PBs. Many of them just want to finish.
Loving every second. Bit warm though.
It certainly is if you're out there competing, and I think the drink station's busier than ever.
Well, the crowd are amazing today, keeping us all going. Aid station's amazing, all the staff are brilliant.
Well, that's certainly the case, and the volunteers make these races. I think all the athletes appreciate that. Single file across the Essex Bridge, one of the highlights of the course. And here's Matt Bainborough looking a little tired, and he should be honeymooning in Mexico with a tequila in hand. Any means of cooling the body down welcome, just to increase their chances of finishing today. Alex Dredge, 5 years of rehab since his accident back in 2012. I don't think he'll have been banking on the heat here today in Staffordshire.
A lot of my training, because it's been from sort of January through to now, has been more winter training, so colder conditions. So I've not really done an awful lot in the heat.
I feel like I've got no energy left. Hopefully I'll just relax into it a bit. So keep going. The hill really took it out of me already.
You gonna do it?
Oh yeah. I'm not stopping.
Count the kilometres one by one. And the support, so essential at this stage of an Ironman race. Soak up the atmosphere. This is why they keep coming back. And this is where Molinari made his break, going across the Essex Bridge, just opened up a gap over Gilman. The 32-year-old Frenchman just couldn't respond, watching the Italian pull away. And a significant lead in the end for Giulio Molinari. Time to appreciate the support and think about his achievement. A perfectly paced race from the Italian. Gomez won in 2015, Troutman from South Africa in 2016, but 2017 belonging to Giulio Molinari of Italy.
Sono contentissimo.
Says, I'm really happy. I felt strong today, everything went well. Today, I think I had probably the best run of my life.
Sì, sono stanco però.
Yeah, he says, I'm obviously tired right now, but I'm so happy with this result, and now it's time to start thinking about the next challenge. A little bit soon for that. Here comes Romain Guillaume. He made the race, couldn't quite pull it off in the end, but my goodness, it was competitive performance from the Frenchman. A solid second.
It was a difficult race. I did all my best to break away on the bike. And then I stayed behind, and the run. First loop I tried to catch Giulio, and then second loop I stayed with him. But third loop he speed up and he was stronger. So now I'm happy. It was a good race, the perfect weather, perfect place to race, and I finished second just because he was stronger than me. It's a race, so I'm happy, yeah.
So Molinari and Guillaume 1 and 2. Elliot Smales, after a slow bike ride, a brilliant run, the fastest time over the run course for Elliot Smales. He works his way up into third, 4:49 off the pace of the winner. Tomsk, who's been here many times before, dropping from third last year to fourth this year. And here comes Lucy Gossage, winning the women's race in record time with a celebration that can't fail to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, I didn't know if I still had it. I've gone back to work, and you know, it's been so different this year, but I think that was one of my best performances actually, you know, whatever. So yeah, I was so happy. I couldn't be happier.
Race 3, 1-3. Here comes Nikki Bartlett, second place for her. Great swim, great bike.
I knew I had that in me. I just didn't know if I could produce it today. You're not going to come to a race and not try and win, but realistically for me today, no excuses. That was a very good race for me put together today. But by no means am I not fighting that first place at the next race in Bolton.
A little bit of work on her running and she may well challenge Lucy Gossage when it comes to the Ironman UK in Bolton. That will be a good duel. Today though belongs to Gossage, 4:28.09, a new record time, 3 minutes inside her previous record. So going back to work has done her no harm whatsoever. But of course 99% of the competitors here combining work with training. It takes a massive amount of commitment, not just from the athlete, but from the families as well. And that's why there are so many emotions. That's why the atmosphere here is so good. And thousands of supporters coming out to enjoy it.
Great atmosphere, brilliant race, brilliant. I finished, yeah, I did well, yeah.
I was hoping to beat 6 hours, so I've just crept under by about 9 minutes, so I'm really chuffed.
Just a reminder, 1.2 mile swim, 56 miles on the bike, and then 13.1 on the running. And Alex Dredge has made it.
If it hadn't have been the heat, maybe it would have been more like what I would have expected, but the heat just added so much to the run part of it. That run is punishing. It's hard work, but it's very rewarding when you get to the end. That was awesome.
From this guy, he drove me out the line today, so it was fantastic. But the atmosphere was brilliant.
The feel-good factor, clear to see. Humans have a fantastic ability to forget the pain and remember all the good bits. This experience certainly will have changed the lifestyles of a few and inspired many others.
Really good. Crowd's brilliant. Couldn't have done it without the crowd.
6 years ago, I was 16 stone. I was living in pubs and having a great time, don't get me wrong. But I think that I can do this now and set that example to my son. That's cool, man.
Did it last year, but this year was so much harder. An amazing, amazing experience.
It's been brilliant, really good atmosphere. I say best Ironman that I've ever done, so amazing.
They've come from far afield. And here's Matt Bainborough, one happy man. 3 Staffordshire 70.3s completed. And now he can take his wife on honeymoon.
Glad I finished, it was a tough day. The heat has really done a lot for me today. Just glad to get over that finishing line. This is what matters, so yeah, it feels really good.
That's all from a sweltering Staffordshire. The Ironman season in Britain is underway.